We're back on Hoofbeats Radio on CFRU 93.3 FM in Guelph, and we are in conversation today with eventer Michele Mueller. And Michele, I was hoping you could tell us a little bit more now about what you're doing day to day in your current involvement with horses.
Right now, I'm back home now on a permanent basis so far.
Right.
I think I spent this year almost 7 months, basically 7 months away from home.
Wow.
Yeah, it's when you count the first 5 months down south, and then you're back maybe for a week, and then back down for 2 or 3 weeks competing, and back up for a week or two. And I think I was back here the most 3 weeks before leaving for Virginia training camp.
Wow.
To head to the Olympics.
Right.
And then that was 5 weeks away. But now I'm back and trying to build up my bank account, so to speak.
Yes.
So I can do more and just, trying to get the business back online. And so back to coaching.
Okay.
Doing a little training, the odd little show, getting my youngsters out. I had the one youngster out a couple times, and just basically day-to-day riding and training, and just teaching my students and having a blast at it. I've got some really good students up and coming.
It's nicely laid out on the website, some of the horses you're working with, but it might be nice to hear it from you. So
I've got he's actually another tall one. His name's Carter.
Okay, yeah.
When I first got him, his name was Patty, and I didn't like it. It didn't suit him.
Okay.
So, and he has his sire's line is, I think, Mr. President, and his grandsire is Kennedy, so I called him Carter. on his mother's side is the racetrack side, because his father's side's the Dutch side. Prime Minister, like the Deputy Minister lines. I don't know a lot about the thoroughbred lines.
Okay.
So I ended up calling Carter, and then his show name, I turned around and just called him Politically Correct.
Yeah, with all that politics in there.
Yeah, I figured it suited him.
And how old is he?
He's a 6-year-old.
Okay.
And he's just been competing at the training level and doing very well at it. So hopefully if I get a chance this year to go down south maybe for 4 to 6 weeks, I'll only go as far as maybe Aiken. I don't need to go all the way to Florida. Aiken is South Carolina.
Yeah.
And just get some events around there to get an early start on him, because my goal for him then would be to get him through a few more trainings and bump him up to prelim.
Yeah.
Stay at prelim for the rest of the year. Get a 1-star in, which is something we need to do before we move up to intermediate, because what I'm trying to qualify him for would be the Pan Ams.
Okay.
And just get enough experience on him before we get to that time of year for the Pan Ams.
Yeah. So that's 3 years out, is it?
Pan Ams are 2015.
Okay.
And it doesn't sound like much, but if I think of it, next year's 2013, and he's just at prelim.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a lot of time to get yourself ready when he has to have intermediate and 2 stars in.
Yeah.
And I've got another youngster that I had bought as a 3-year-old at his breeder's field and broke and trained him. But the problem is, he looked great as a 3-year-old, but he grew massive. He just looks too big and heavy to be galloping cross country. Which worries me for more injuries when they're big and heavy like that.
Yeah.
He's not heavy as in fat, he just grew big.
Yeah.
He's large, he's a big
Solid.
frame boy. So he's the one I'm putting some dressage training on and some jumper training and just move him either dressage or jumper.
Interesting. So we'll have
and
to
then with
see
that
how
money I'll turn around and try to find myself another event horse.
Yeah. So tell us a tiny bit, you mentioned the business and how you're concentrating on that a little bit more right now. So tell us about the facility you're working out of. I
have approximately 25-acre facility on Scugog Island in Port Perry.
Mm-hmm.
And I've lived here for, I'm going to date myself here, for approximately almost 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the business has been up and running for quite a long time. It's been well over, I think it's almost 30 years, 28 years, 29 years now.
I had no idea.
Yeah, and I will do some training on horses. I don't do as much training as I used to. As I get older, I pick and choose what horses I want to train.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you can get some horses that can be quite very green, or yes, let's put it this way. I don't want to come off now that I'm at this time of my life where I'd rather try to qualify for stuff instead of sitting with a cast on.
Right, right.
So I pick and choose certain horses I train. Like even myself, when I got my 3-year-old, I remember thinking after when I got him home going, what was I thinking? Look how old I am, and I'm breaking a 3-year-old that's never been handled, and he was an absolute doll.
Oh, good. That can help.
Yeah, but I won't be doing that anymore either.
Pick and choose.
Just, working with my students, getting them prepped for the following spring show season. I've got another student that'll be looking for a horse. So just along those lines, just trying to keep everybody happy and keep busy.
How many students would you have typically, or
I have
estimate?
quite a few students, ones that actually show and compete, not as many, of course, but I can run, I'm approximately between, and students come and go, but anywhere from 28 to 35 students a week.
And tell us a bit about staff. Do you have anyone else helping you with all of this?
Yeah, I was doing the bar myself, which makes it difficult because my one longtime staff had gone back to college.
Okay.
So, which left me without, and it's hard, this time of year is hard to find somebody because everybody's at school.
Yeah.
And it's just time-wise, so even trying to find an adult that wants to work part-time and just even get the barn clean for me. So I finally got someone right now.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, which makes it quite easy so I can actually do this with you and actually get riding after and get all my horses done before lessons start at 3 or 4 o'clock.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then in terms of trying to find out about the team of people around you, I wanted to ask about students, I wanted to ask about staff, and I think sponsors are an important role in...
Oh, you're so right.
So tell us a bit about that.
Unbelievable. I still have, what is so nice, after the Olympics were over, I asked, I have some main sponsors that have been helping me from the very beginning, which is my feed company, which is Sunderland Feeds.
Okay.
My farrier is Stuart Bruce. Schlieff Saddlery, which I approached in 2010 at Rolex. I've had some really good help. And sponsors that don't support me like consistently, but are always there when I need it, so I can always go back to them and help. Like even Shoppers Drug Mart, our local one in town, has always supported when I've had my fundraisers.
That's so cool.
Oh, it's been great. This year was the first time we've had our local casino, Great Blue Heron, kick in and help me out towards the Olympics. Thanks. Oh, goodness. And my newest one, Juice Plus, for my own health.
So just in case there's anyone listening that thinks they might be able to offer some sponsorship support, how do they get a hold of you?
They can go through my website or call me directly. Because I'm always easy to reach via email on my website. It's Michele Mueller Eventing, MicheleMueller, Eventing, EVENTING.com.
Perfect. And let's take another pause.
Okay.
So we're back on Hoofbeats Radio on CFRU 93.3 FM, and we have a few minutes left with Michele Mueller, who represented Canada at the Olympics and is still very active in the eventing world. I thought it would be cool to sort of wrap up the interview, Michele, with the question about your background with horses.
Ever since I can remember, I have always wanted a horse. Why is it something that we pick that we like the most? Like, why does a kid love hockey or soccer or baseball so much? It's just something, I think it's genetic. Maybe not for everybody, but my mother was very much into horses. And when I started drawing horses as a 4 and a 5-year-old, and by the time I was 7 years old, I'll never forget this Christmas because my parents were saying, well, it's so big, we can't bring it in the house. It's so big, we can't even wrap it. And they just left me with hints like that because there was nothing else on the tree. And I was like, oh, my God. And even as a 7-year-old, I remember thinking, wouldn't even think of a horse because I'm like, there's no way we can afford a horse. We live in a house. And I didn't know anything any better.
Yeah.
And I remember we go out on Christmas and we're walking. And we're walking just a little ways up from the house. I know there's a cow barn up there. And I still had no clue.
Right.
And I remember you can go in the one part of the barn, but apparently on the stall that my now Christmas present was in, when you opened the door, it was almost like a little man door. And I remember, because I was little, I remember just staring at a pair of knees. Because the horse head was up on a concrete platform full of straw. And I just remember looking at a pair of knees and looking up and thinking, this is mine.
Wow.
And, hearing the Merry Christmas, and I was like, there's no Christmas that can compare.
No, wow.
Just the feeling I had, and although he was only a 1.5 year old stud colt.
Really? That's what they picked for you?
Twice in a row. That's my mom for you, because she couldn't stand ponies and she wouldn't trust a pony. And I think I kind of have that feeling. I have that in my own head now too. I'm not a fan of ponies, but if they're a good pony, I love them.
Right.
If they're not, I can't stand them.
Yeah, there are some very challenging ones out there, man.
Exactly, yeah. So his name was Rusty. He was a chestnut gelding with a white blaze.
And so
not gelding.
Right. Eventually,
that didn't last long. Yeah.
Right. So he was, so, I mean, was he really the first horse you ever rode?
Yes, I actually got to sit on him. My mom was very much old school because she was from Germany. That I rode a lot bareback.
Wow.
Hands on the knees. And I remember one time my dad leading me in the winter. I had my snowmobile suit on because it was so cold.
Yeah.
And he reared. And I just sat there and I slid right off his rear end.
Back. What else
slid
could
off
you
his
do?
rear end, landed on the road, knocked the wind out of me, and split my snowmobile suit off the garage. But it didn't bother me. Up we go, back on, and that was it.
Talk about a good way to develop your seat.
Oh, yeah, and the second horse was the same, and always as and I started off with Western tack. For me, English was, who wants English?
Right.
Western's the way to go, till I wanted to jump.
Yeah, that's the changeover, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Because I was into the Western games and barrel racing and pole bending.
For how long? Like, when did you switch to English?
Oh, it was probably, I'm going to say, in my late teens.
Okay. And then did you ever go back?
It had to be earlier. Oh, no, it was more like, I'm going to say 12 or 13.
And once you went English, that was it? Or
I was doing a bit of both.
Okay, yeah.
So I do all the local fairs for the Western classes and the English classes.
Exactly. So when you want to jump, you do the English thing, all the other adventure. That's awesome.
It was a blast.
I think before I let you go, I will throw out the question that I try to put to all of our Hoofbeats guests, which is, what do you think it is about horses that draws you so much? What do you love about horses?
I think for me, I just love looking at them. I think they're just so magnificent. Just when you sit on them and ride them and think the power that's underneath you, and yet they allow you to control them.
I know.
You know, I know we go through all the training, and I know there's some horse has moments that they say, no way, not doing it, get off. But in general, they're not out to hurt you.
No.
If you do it right, take your time, and obviously some learn quicker than others, just like people, animals, everything.
Yep.
They're just magnificent creatures to feel the power in these, especially when you train them, and especially in dressage, and they learn to sit on the rear ends and they piaffe and passage. It's just an incredible feeling. Or to come down to this massive cross-country fence, and the horse says, you want me to do it? I'll do it. And at times when you're learning eventing, which I tell all my students, is if you have a good horse, when you screw up, the horse is there like, okay, you idiot, I'll fix this for you.
Yeah.
And they fix it.
Yeah.
Because they got a lot of self-preservation. I have come across a few horses that do not and don't care.
Always an exception, but
most have that self-preservation that do the best, unless you've put them in a situation that they can't get out of, which hopefully we train our riders not to get in that bad of a situation, but accidents do happen.
Yeah.
But in general, most horses are athletic enough to go and pull you out of that spot, and then you run off to the next fence thinking, crap, I'm not going to do that again. What a big mistake.
Fresh
and that's when you pat your horse and like, you are so good.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. This is great. It's fun.
Very fun. Take good care.